last night I was teaching some friends how to do some tabletop wargaming. We were playing Team Yankee, which is usually my game of choice. I like the rule set. I like the miniatures. I like how it's set up. It plays well. And I like having fun with it. Naturally, these games are just, it's okay to have fun hobbies that are just fun. You know, whether you like 40K, I like making these things really theatrical. I like making little scenarios and kind of blending it with a little bit of like D&D Dungeon Master. There's a lot of ways to make it fun. But they really do have a lot of potential for teaching and education. For example, you know, when you start playing this, you have to build your force, you have to fight your vehicles. And the Bradley fighting vehicle, you'll see different things of, you know, how they gamify real life. The tow missile, for example, it has a minimum range, but also you can't shoot it on the move. Why is that? Well, it allows you to learn and teach that the tow missile is wire guided and optically tracked. So it needs time to stabilize after it's fired, which is why it has the minimum range. And because the gunner has to actually optically track it onto the target, you can't shoot it while on the move. That's not something that is common knowledge to everybody. If you're trying to learn stuff or get outside of your own little box that you've been in the military or elsewhere, this can help you explore different things like air defense, shilkas, what's their capability, what can they do? Similarly, how do enemy stuff work? What's the difference between a T-80 and a T-64? How do they fight? Different armaments, different equipment. Did you know that a T-62 has an ATGM that can be fired through the main gun? That's kind of neat. I didn't know that until I started playing this. And of course, you can also get into other stuff like, you know, when you start building these forces, you can see, kind of get an idea of how different nations build their force structure. Naturally, this is like specifically to 1985 Soviet style, but it's still useful in understanding culture and how different organizations have built their forces over time, different weapons and capabilities. And then when you actually go and play it, you get a feel for, you know, how do you mix things? Naturally, there's always going to be little gamified events, but, you know, how do you use artillery with an assault? How do you mix ground forces with air assets? How do you mix in the anti-air? And you can do all this stuff. You know, I go all out, obviously, with all this stuff, but it doesn't have to be this complicated. If you are still in the army or military or whatever, and you have time out in the field, you can get smaller versions that play the same exact game, but instead of 1 to 100 scale like this, it's 1 to 285, 1 to 300, 6mm scale. And you can play on, you know, a folding desk, get a deck of cards, and run your troops through little scenarios and go through the combat, and you get to explain all these different nuances of whatever game you're playing, whether it's Team Yankee or Micro Armor or Spectre or Fire War Game. You know, all these guys, they do really different really good rule sets, and you can explore how these different rule sets accurately or inaccurately portray combat, and it's a great tool to both explore for yourself and also teach younger guys so that you, as a medium, it's a fun thing to do. And yeah, like I said, it can also just be fun, like painting miniatures. Call me nerdy, I don't care. It's fun.